Alrighty, so we got a big boy.
Oh
Sure do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Big boy and growing.
And drools a lot.
I'm Maggie, by the way.
I'm Igor.
Maggie and Igor.
Yes.
Justin.
Nice to meet you, Justin.
Alrighty, so it seems pretty simple. Friendly dog, but you're looking for obedience, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
We basically, like, I've only had adult dogs, and he's my first puppy, and
Okay.
like, I've never trained a dog before, because all my dogs just came to me well-behaved.
Mm-hmm.
And so, honestly, we didn't put in, like, enough foundational information for, like, training into him, and he's just wild because of us.
Okay, and what's wild look like?
I mean, wild, like, we definitely can't go, like, on walks without him pulling us, like, the entire way.
Sure.
He jumps on strangers, will jump on us, will kind of chew on people.
Yeah, when people come in the door, he will jump on them, he'll like put their hands in his mouth. He doesn't bite, but
Sure.
he'll just
Yeah.
a little overly aggressive. We have a cat, and he definitely like kind of tries to play too aggressive with the cat, chases the cat everywhere, and he doesn't really respond to commands well. Like, and we never taught him come, which makes it very difficult to corral him anywhere. He kind of knows like leave it and clearly sit a little bit, but generally pretty stubborn, very energetic, and yeah, mostly those things. And then he also like will eat food off a table, things like that, just general, kind of dog things. So
But he's super sweet and honest.
yeah.
How old is he?
He's about 10 months.
10 and a half, 11 months. I think July 16th was his birthday. So.
Okay. And then it looks like you walk on a martingale. Is that
Yeah.
Yeah,
for
we
lack of anything else.
we
But-
have been recent for like last 5 months probably. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, a little aggressive with like pawing as well. So he'll like paw other dogs. And I'll say like he probably plays too aggressively with other dogs. Like when he goes to daycare, he's often in a cage because like he's just a little too in personal space, I think, of other dogs. And he's starting to get to the point where he's attempting to basically hump other dogs, right?
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think he's fixed, right?
He's not, and we don't plan to get him fixed until probably like 18 months or maybe 2 years because he's a bigger dog. So our breeder had advised us not to.
Sure. Okay. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay. So it's pretty straightforward, and it seems like you're interested in either in-person or board and train.
Yeah, totally open to your recommendations too on what you think would work best for him.
Okay. I'll give you like the pros and cons
Sure.
of both, and then kind of lay out your options.
Sure.
So I'm not a big fan of board and trains,
Okay.
in the sense that first you don't get a lot of information.
Yeah.
Right. As opposed to you do in person, I'm training you to train him.
Yeah.
And you're making mistakes, and he's making mistakes, and you're just kind of learning as you go along.
Right.
So it's more hands-on. You learn a ton more. In your case, board and train is an option just because it is such a simple case.
Yeah.
If this was like behavioral, like if there was like reactivity or aggression,
Sure.
stuff like that, I always tell people don't do it because you have to live with this dog.
Yeah.
So you need to learn how to handle these things.
Yeah.
When it comes to obedience, it's mechanical. Sit, put your butt down, come, get your ass over here type thing. So it's more straightforward. The tool that we use, of course, or tools are prong and e-collar for all dogs over 6 months.
Yep.
It's primarily remote collar. Prong is really in cases where, like, I had a young lady, she was like maybe 900 pounds. She had a Great Dane, and he was 150 pounds.
Of course you did.
Yeah. And he was super dog reactive, and she lived in Bucktown, so she could turn the corner and the dog, she would see the dog, and he would just drag across the street.
He's kind of similar.
Yeah.
Sure.
He's overly friendly. Yeah.
So the prong was like, in case you turned the corner and there was a dog, she had immediate control.
Yep.
The e-collar was so that she could stop the dog or de-escalate reactivity, but it wasn't contingent on how strong or big she was.
Yeah.
Okay, so the e-collar can close a lot of that gap. I also had like a board and train that just wrapped up a couple weeks ago. I trained his daughter's dog, and gentleman's like 78 years old and has a dog reactive German Shepherd.
Got it.
So I did prong e-collar that dog because he needs as much control as possible.
That makes sense.
In most cases, it's just remote collar,
Okay.
and but they can be paired safely, like they're perfectly safe to use together. They actually work really well together. My preference on not doing prong a whole lot is because we tend to be very physical.
Yeah.
We tend to use the leash a lot to control the dog.
Right.
And the more you use the leash, the more dependent you become on it.
Sure.
So it's kind of like riding a bike with training wheels. So if you never like kind of move past the training wheels, like you're gonna need them forever.
Makes sense.
So with the remote collar, the more I start how do you say, steering you towards only using that tool and using the leash very little, is if something happens, your first instinct is jump to the remote as opposed to jump to the leash.
Gotcha, okay.
So that's another reason why I do that. So it's pretty straightforward in terms of like cost and like length of time and stuff.
Yeah.
It's really just like how well trained of a dog do you want.
Right.
Now, regardless, even if you do like a 4-week board and train or whatever, you still have work to do.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
so if you do a 2-week board and train, 1 week, 4 week, whatever, they all involve work. It's just how far we take the dog along in their foundation
Makes sense.
is different. So if we have them for 4 weeks, we're gonna get much closer to like 100% than if you had them for only 1 week.
Sure,
okay?
makes sense.
But regardless, you'll have to do work. Because we do get some people that come in and they're like, yeah, you're just training my dog and then they're gonna be great, right? I'm like, no.
We gotta be active.
Yeah. So with the tool of remote collar, are you familiar with what the technology is?
I am not. I think, like,
Realize that's a
honestly,
no.
the first time I
No.
kind of like heard of remote collars was looking at your
No.
website and stuff,
Okay.
so not
Sure.
very familiar.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's very high
Not
level.
eating, sir.
Yeah, it is a real dog.
So,
No.
not a fan of art apparently.
I've never, this is the first time I've seen a market in an object like this. This is very impressive.
So what you're gonna do is take your grab closer to his collar. You're gonna pull this way to then turn him around and then just like that, and then relax. Okay, and then pull a little bit more. There you go, then relax.
Good. Oh, good boy.
So you see how he's still focused on
Yeah.
it? There you go, and then just relax. Okay. When he does this, now try just pulling straight up. And then relax, wait a moment, pull him back in again.
Come here.
Yep, straight up. Up, up, wait a moment. So you see how he's keeping this tension?
Yeah.
Okay, he's good with people?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very.
Oh, sorry.
So,
You just
It pulls me
really
like that.
strong.
yeah, it's okay. So, with the remote collar, it's just a muscle contraction. It's not electricity.
Oh,
Okay.
A lot of people think it's electricity.
Uh-huh.
They hear the term shock collar
Right.
or whatever,
Yeah.
or they hear electric and they're thinking like, oh, you're like electrocuting my dog.
Yeah,
I go, no, that's not how it works, because if it was, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be legal.
yeah. Right.
It's a miniaturized TENS unit. If you've ever been to a physical therapist or a chiropractor, it's just a muscle contraction. They use a lot in sports rehabilitation therapy. I
Yeah.
even saw this thing the other day on the internet. It's called like Ovira, and it's got these 2 little nodes that women can use to put on their lower abdomen to help with menstrual
Sure.
cramps. And it just kind of pulsates the muscle to either ease pain and or relax the muscles.
Gotcha.
Have you ever seen those videos where they recreate labor contraction pains in men?
Yes.
It's that technology. Okay. Now that labor contractions, of course, uncomfortable. They're very painful.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a TENS unit, but they're operating at a much higher level because they're trying to recreate labor contraction
That makes sense,
pains,
yeah.
right? So the e-collar is the same technology, except miniaturized. if you will.
Right.
Okay.
Sorry, the
Focus.
painting is
That's
so
fine.
ridiculous.
I'm trying to just
Yeah. He's very stubborn, as you can see.
Yeah. Good. So it's just a muscle contraction. It's not a current running through your dog's body. It's not electricity is usually how I term it.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So every dog's number is different. Size, breed, temperament, age, none of that stuff
Yeah.
matters.
Okay.
Every dog's perception of the e-collar is different.
Mm.
Okay, so he could be this big and be super sensitive.
Yeah.
He could be this big and be very
So you kind of
resilient.
calibrate it to the dog.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
So I don't, when I come in and people ask like, what's my dog's number gonna be? I'm like, I don't know. Like
Yeah.
your dog
Right.
knows, right?
Yeah.
But we figure all that out.
Okay.
So what we do is we use what we call pressure work.
Mhm.
So what you just saw me do with him right now is essentially pressure. Okay. Every time he was doing something I didn't like, I would pull on the leash and use my hand
Uh-huh.
to create a level of discomfort to deter him from stirring at the pain
Right.
Yeah.
of my dogs.
Right.
So now that I pulled him away and did some stuff, you're seeing him like lay down. There's
Yeah.
still a little bit of concern here,
Mhm.
but because I kept countering him,
Yeah.
it didn't allow him to kind of zone in
Right.
and escalate. Okay.
Right.
So think of e-collar is the same thing, but you press a button.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So we shape everything always based off the heel in most cases. Heel is super important for a big chunk of what we do.
Okay.
Leash pulling is the most common thing that people want to address.
Yeah.
Heel fixes that. Leash reactivity is something that a lot of people struggle with their dogs, so heel helps address that as well.
What's leash reactivity?
When they lunge and bark at dogs.
Oh, got it.
And it doesn't always mean aggressive, it's just the behavior of lunging and barking at
Right.
dogs or humans is considered leash reactivity.
Got it.
Okay? And heel helps resolve that as well. So the reason why the heel is so important is when you put an e-collar on a dog and you just press the button, since he doesn't know what it is, his first instinct is almost always going to be run.
Right.
Okay, so it makes him want to move. So we use heel, which is a moving behavior, to teach him how it turns on and how it turns off, and to teach him not to move away from us, but to actually move with us.
Got it.
Okay, so it's helping him learn how to turn it on and how to turn it off. Heel is something, or walking your dog is something that most people do at least 3 times a day, 7 days a week, because we live in the city. So it's something that you would expose them to regularly. So it helps them get over it much faster. It helps you learn the concepts more quickly because you practice every day.
Yep.
Walking helps alleviate stress. So if there's any stress built up in response to the e-collar, the walking helps them kind of expel that stress as well.
Right.
So the heel in itself as a behavior and everything has like so many benefits to the training.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of build everything off of that, okay? So if you're doing like in-person training, the first thing that we would cover is heel. And how long your program is just depends on how well trained of a dog you want. Because I have 3, 6, 9, and 12-week programs. Most people fall like in the 6 to 9 week range.
Okay.
So to kind of break it down, think of 3 week as I want to just walk my dog.
Yeah.
6 week is walk my dog, go to the park. 9 weeks walk my dog, go to the park, go to restaurants. And 12 week is all that stuff, plus we go hiking, we go to the dog beach.
Got it.
He's gonna be off leash in unenclosed areas, he goes with us to friends' houses, like you do everything with your dog, okay? So that's a 12-week program.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're pushing towards off-leash reliability with all the commands. Now, the only command that has to be off-leash reliable is the recall. Okay, that's the command called, because if he's off-leash and you call him and it's not off-leash reliable,
Then
it's kind of just pointless, right? So that's why, but otherwise, all the commands sit, stay, down, come, place, heel. So 6 commands are meant to be functional and can be built to a higher level, okay?
Got it.
Think of with the board and trains, 1 week of our time as like 3 weeks of your time. Okay, so like a 1 week board and train is equivalent to like a 3 week in person. A 2 week board and train is a 6 week in person. Okay, just to kind of give you a feel of like how to compare them. Okay, now with the board and train, in a 2 week program, even in a 1 week program, we cover all 6 commands. Sit, stay, down, come, place, heel. Because we already know how to train dogs, right?
Yeah.
But if you were teaching you to teach him, you really only cover, you cover far less, right? So that's why with the 3 classes, I know for sure heel is typically a 2-class behavior, and that 3rd one is just in case they're struggling with something, or if we have leash reactivity, it gives us another day to work on leash reactivity.
Yeah.
But it would progress much slower. Okay, so if he's here for even a week, he's still gonna get all 6 commands. We're just not gonna get him super far into training. Okay. Within the 6 week program, it's the heel and the recall. On 9 is heel, recall, and stationary control, like the place command, so you can take him places and not worry about like him getting up and wandering.
Right.
Now, if someone comes in with a 12-week program, I approach the program differently. Okay. Because if someone comes in doing 12, I know right off the bat they want full control of their dog.
Right.
So the first 6 classes, we teach the 6 commands: sit, stay, down, come, place, heel. And the second 6 classes, we spend building those behaviors to a higher level.
Gotcha.
But if someone just came in with a 6-week program, we may not cover all 6 commands, because I'm looking at it going, well, I want to make sure I get this person good with heel and recall at minimum.
Right.
Because those are the most important commands. And if they do their homework and they're practicing and the dog's doing really well, then I just keep progressing. So I get some people who do get all 6 commands within a 6-class program, but it's because they have a dog that took well to the training, like they responded really well to the collar, they're easy to work with, but then they're also really good owners, right? And they went off and like did their homework and they were diligent about practicing, that we could just keep building on stuff.
Gotcha.
So every case is kind of different, but depending on the length of the program the client comes back with kind of dictates how I approach it, okay? Whereas with the board and train, it's for sure within like the 2nd day that he's here, we've already taught all 6 commands. Now we're just applying and reinforcing them, okay? Questions so far about any of that stuff?
Do you ever do like a combination of board and train and then like lessons afterwards, or do you
Correct.
just kind of keep it?
So the board and train, just so that you're aware, it's interesting. So I fix a lot of other trainers' dogs. Okay, board and trains, daycare and trains, private lessons, all that stuff. People, multiple trainers.
Yeah.
And the reason is just because people, even if they use e-collar or trainers use e-collar, doesn't mean they know how to use it correctly. Okay, a lot of people still use it incorrectly, in my opinion. And it's weird because like I had a client who did a 4-week boarding train with e-collar and had like 30 minutes with the trainer and that was it. And I said, if you do 4 weeks here, you get 8 hours of follow-up.
Yeah.
Because it's so much stuff
Right.
that we're covering that we're having to close the gap on. So like imagine if you did a 4-week program with this guy, he's coming back to you with all these bells and whistles, right? But you don't know how
And
to
then you
use
just
them.
Right, yeah.
Right? So it's
slowly
like having a
undo
car.
it.
Exactly. So it's like having a car and it does all these things and you've not read the manual.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the full potential of the
Makes
car,
sense.
right? So with each board and train, with each program, you get a different amount of follow-up. We also provide you with training videos, okay, that are with your dog.
Okay.
So if we took a 2-week board and train, for example, the first week of any program is always going to be the longest video. It's about an hour to an hour and a half, okay? And it's him in a completely raw setting in the sense that you're seeing him learn the behavior for the very first time.
Got it.
Okay? So we get dogs that are very flighty, meaning they want to run away whenever they go into stress. E-collar is a stressor. So when we start working with them, you'll start to see them dart off and try to run away.
Right.
Most people go, oh my God, it's making the dog scared, it wants to run away, and they want to stop. But I go, if you stop, but then you never work your dog through it, if something happens, your dog's gonna run away.
Right.
Yeah.
We work through it, okay? But you would see that in the video, where like my trainer Enrique, he'd be describing everything, and he's like, oh, it looks like, he's a bit flighty, this is what we're gonna do, he works him through it, so you're learning and you're seeing all this stuff, okay?
Yeah.
And we do it with all 6 commands, so that when you come, you can do a couple of things here. One, some people will just let their dogs complete the program and they just review the video. And then they'll pick up their dog and they'll practice what they've learned from their videos. Okay? And then 2 weeks later, a month later, a week later, they're like, hey, we'd like to schedule a follow-up. Okay, we're struggling with this. No problem, you set up a follow-up with Enrique. He meets with you, you ask him your questions, he coaches you through things, he helps you close the gap on anything that you're not getting. You go off and you keep practicing.
Got it.
Right? 2 months later, you can come back, hey, he's doing great, but we still struggle with this. He helps you close the gap on that.
Just keep reinforcing. whatever.
Exactly. So other clients will come in once a week, right? So then at the end of the first week, they'll come in, set up an appointment with Enrique. They'll do like what we call a transfer lesson, and then you'll leave, he stays here, right?
Okay.
Then you come back at the end of the 2 weeks, and then another transfer lesson, plus you have the stuff that you learned, and then you take them and you do your thing, right? So each program comes with a set number of follow-ups. So like, let's say, I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but let's say like a 2-week came with 4 follow-ups.
Yeah.
That's 4 hours worth of work. And you came each week, so that's 2 hours. That leaves you with 2 1-hour lessons a week, right? They don't expire, you can use them at any point.
Okay.
So, or you can just say, we're gonna watch the videos, we're gonna just take what we learned from the videos, and we're gonna practice with that, and we're gonna save our 4 hours for a later time.
Got it.
I don't care. It's very versatile. in that
Okay. Makes sense.
Okay, so the reason why we started doing the videos is it is a ton of information. It's a lot. Okay, so that's why with the in-person, it's nice because you're learning chunk by chunk as he's learning. With the board and train, like you're just getting them back and it's like, by the way, here's what your dog can do.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a lot. And like you said, like you'll start to undo things.
Yeah.
So your dog is constantly learning.
Right.
So it's kind of, because people think like if you train the dog should just learn to be a good dog. That's not a thing. Dogs don't do that. Okay, that's a human thing, and not even humans do that.
Right.
True. So. Dogs unfortunately have a very high standard kind of put on them. So we let you know, of course, what's realistic. He will be a good dog because you're telling him to be a good dog.
Right.
This guy is a 3 to 4 year old child up here.
Yeah.
Forever.
Right.
And I've had people get so surprised when I tell them that. They're like, what do you mean
Yeah.
forever? I'm like, yeah, he's never going to mature and get a job and like pay rent.
Right.
He's
I mean,
3 to
that's
4 years
good.
old. You need to tell him what to do. We would never trust a 3 to 4 year old to like become independent and all that stuff.
Right.
It's like go get dressed, go eat your vegetables,
Right.
your toys and all that. Same thing for this guy. So you're just kind of anytime you need him to do something,
Yeah.
you would just tell him. Okay.
Makes sense.
Questions so far?
I think my only other question, top of mind, is like if we did the in-person training, like when do you typically do those? And do you do them here, like at our house, or on location somewhere else, or
Sure.
how does that work in terms of scheduling?
Real quick, between the two, board and train, pro, we get more done in a shorter period of time.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Con, all the training is tied to us.
Yeah.
And you don't see like all the work that kind of gets put into it.
Yeah.
With in-person training, and the other pro is we can start sooner rather than later.
Right.
In-person training, pro, you learn a ton more because you're learning everything yourself. It's hands-on. We can do either in-home. Now that it's officially like summer, hopefully, we're starting to work at Oz Park now.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so we work, and I don't know if you guys have been to Oz Park.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
It's the busiest park in Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay, one of my clients works for the city, and she told me, she's like, yeah, this is great. She's like, this is the busiest park in Chicago, and it's crazy because you're training in the middle of it, and like, yeah, I'm like, because this is realistic.
Yeah.
So that's another pro to it, is that you're out in the real world and you're learning hands-on. Con, it's going to be a bit of a wait. I think right now, Maria said I'm booking in July.
Okay.
And we already have people in front of you, so by the time she gets to you, it might even just be August.
Okay.
I don't know, she knows that better than I do.
Sure.
Also, it just takes longer. Okay, so again, 1 week of our time is 3 weeks of your time.
Yeah.
So it really just comes down to if you mind about waiting, if you really want to get the hands-on approach on that stuff, you know, I don't care. You have both options available to you.
Sure.
Okay. If this was a case where it was strictly like, no, you want to do in person, I would push you towards in person, but because it's so simple, you have options.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you'd be working, if you did board and train, you'd be working with Enrique.
Okay.
Now, Enrique is my training facility manager. He's been with me for 1.5 years now. And I'm so busy because I used to do my private clients, do my consultations, and then I would do our board and train follow-ups. And it was just getting out of yes, exactly. So then I told Enrique, I'm like, you've got enough experience. You're gonna just take on all the board and trains, daycare and trains, and he's taking on a small number of his own clients as well, because I still need him here to do the training stuff. So I'm booked into July, and all I'm doing is handling my own clients. So COVID 2020 sucked. 2021 is like complete 180.
Dog explosion.
Exactly. So we're just trying to keep up with everything. But both options are available to you.
Okay.
We do in-home and in-person at Oz or my facility.
Okay.
So if you do in-home, it's more expensive because of COVID, I had to switch how I operated. So before COVID, I used to travel to everybody. I was all over the Chicago area, okay? Then COVID happened and people were like, don't come to my house.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. I was like, I gotta figure out some kind of COVID-friendly way of operating.
Right.
So then we started working at Oz Park so we could social distance or whatever. Plus I didn't have to touch the dog because I can coach you verbally with this approach.
Got it.
Like that, okay? And it's been working great. Everybody loves it because they're like, it's all hands-on, they're learning everything from ground zero. And if there's any issues with their dog, they're learning all that stuff themselves, as opposed to me. I've already trained, I'm sure, over a few thousand dogs at this point in my career, is that I don't need more experience. So we started meeting at Oz Park. During the wintertime, of course, it's too cold, so we started meeting at my facility. So like if we were to meet at Oz Park, if we did it in person and like it was a rainy day, we would just meet here. So that my schedule doesn't back up.
Makes sense.
Okay, because I'm already backed up as it is, so we can still keep things rolling. If you do in-home, it's very limited availability just because it pulls me away from what I'm doing.
Sure.
So I can see 8 clients in a row at Oz Park.
Sure.
Right, and then just get as many people in a day as possible. But as soon as we throw in a private lesson, I have to travel out. Now that's 2 hours out my day to go somewhere.
Makes sense.
Set up, get there, and then come back.
Got it.
But that's also available as well. And Maria would give you information on like what times and dates would be available.
Okay.
That would most likely take a little bit longer, depending on what your availability is like.
Okay.
Most people are 9 to 5, so my evenings or my schedule's kind of backwards. So I'm usually evenings and weekends are my busiest times. So if there's daytime availability and you're available during the daytime, it's more easier or quicker to get on the calendar.
Makes sense.
Other questions?
Those were my only two.
No, I think you answered most of my questions. Would you? So it sounds like I'm just trying in my mind to figure out like board and train would be a faster way to get him like going, but you said the downside of board and train was that like we don't get as much training ourselves to be able to administer that. Is there? I think you were saying earlier, do some people do like a hybrid where they'll do a some private lessons after or on top of the board and train program, or how would that?
Well, the board and train comes with private.
Comes with 4 hours, right? You said.
If you're doing a 2-week, I believe off the top of my head, it's 4 hours of follow, and it's all on the website.
Okay.
So if you go to my website, you look under Logan Square Facility, you'll see board and train. You'll click on that, and you'll see the program and then what it entails.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay. So if you did a 2-week, you get the 1.5 hour video. You also get a second video for the second week, so you see how your dog progresses. And so there's stages to things.
Okay.
So to give you a run through, if we did a 4-week program, the first week is always the longest video. You have to teach everything from ground zero.
Right.
The second video, we transfer the dog to a long leash. We already start pressing towards off-leash reliability as soon as we see the dog is capable.
Got it.
Okay, then you get another video, so you see how far your dog has come along. If we do a 3-week program, on the third video, he's working in the playpen with other dogs.
Got it.
Okay, so that you see him like, okay, this is how we apply it, like if you were to get a dog park kind of setting.
Right.
The 4th week video is they're over at Horner Park and they have them out there and they're using all the obedience outside.
Got it.
So it's kind of taking you through the stage of like, hey, this is how your dog has progressed, so this is where your dog is at.
Got it.
And it gives you insight of like how you would actually apply it yourself.
Got it.
Okay. And they're both very, how do you say, informative.
Sure.
It just depends on the human. Some people are really good about retaining information and will remember things. I'm like, good job. And other people, it's like I can tell them like, don't do this, and right after I said don't do that, they do the very thing that I said not to do. So it's just like, we don't know until we start working with the client.
Makes sense.
We've had other clients. It's rare, but we had like one person in particular. Or one family, we trained their dog was great. Picked up the dog was awesome, right? They're raving about it. They came back a couple weeks later, the dog sucks. And I was just like, okay, show me what you're doing. And everything was incorrect. They were, because there's specific movements, like you move with your specific leg and things like that to help the dog differentiate through things.
Got it.
And it doesn't matter how well trained the dog is. So like for instance, if I say heel and I move forward with my left leg, the dog gets conditioned. When I see this leg move, I walk with you.
Got it.
They were flipping it. And they were saying stay and leading with their left leg, and their dog kept following them. So then they were trying to fix that, and it was creating more problems. So I was like, oh, then I don't walk with you?
Yeah.
So then all these things were mixed up. So then when I was looking at it, I'm like, this is why the dog sucks. Right. As soon as we cleaned up all the behavioral stuff, not behavioral, all the movements, the dog was great.
Makes sense.
So
that's funny.
It just depends.
Yeah,
but that's why the follow-up is there. That's why the videos are there.
Got it.
We've also started a thing where we make what we call a shortcut video, because it's a ton of information, and then there's like the shortcut video, which is like, these are just the general rules. Like left leg with this, right leg with this, backwards for this, turn like this.
Makes sense.
So then it's all condensed in like a 5 to 10 minute video as opposed to an hour and a half.
Got it.
Because then you're trying to sift through all that stuff and you're like, where is it? Okay.
Makes sense.
Other questions?
One other question I had, so like, one of the things we were thinking about doing at one point or another is getting like a midday dog walker, because we're both like super busy and obviously just like struggle to get him like the 3 walks that he probably should be getting a day. Like we're lucky if we do 2. And how do you like factor in that into the training program? Would you recommend like not doing any other people walking the dog except for the 2 of us while we're in the middle of the program, or like how do you think about that?
So with the e-collar, it gives you the biggest gray area. Doesn't matter what your dog walker does. If they use the e-collar to reinforce everything, absolutely, it's great, it's another plus. If they don't, it doesn't screw up your training.
Okay.
So dogs learn by association.
Right.
So growing up, I'm the first grandchild. Okay, so I got spoiled a bit.
Same.
And I learned when I was with my mom, she was super strict. When I was with my mom and my grandma, my grandma would override my mom. Right? No, he's fine, it's just a kid, right?
Yeah.
And if I was with just my grandma, gotta lose even more stuff.
Yeah.
So dogs are the same way. So if he's with you and then you guys are being strict and diligent of following through with everything, he's gonna be great.
Okay.
And then when he goes to the dog walker, he can give him hell, but when you come back and take him on a walk for yourself, it's not gonna factor in, because he's going, you're strict, they're not.
Got it.
Okay?
Okay, makes sense.
Let's say you have a relative watch him when you go out of town.
That was going to be my next question. Yep.
And you show them literally just how to walk them. It's super simple, and how to correct things with the the remote.
Yep.
That's all they need.
Okay, got it.
Transference is very high. So let's say you did it in person, and he's just a spaz. He's all over the place, right? And I coach you through it. You teach him the foundation, And then when we swap handlers, a lot of people, when I work with couples, it's always funny because they're like, haha, good luck, right? But they just did all the work.
Yeah.
And literally the next person grabs the dog's great. Like it's that quick.
Makes sense.
Okay? So when we do transfer and stuff, and you can even give them the videos, and say like, hey, just watch these videos.
Yeah.
And the only
Makes
thing that
sense.
they have to learn is the heel. Now recall is a tricky one. So like even though he do recall great with you, if your friend like took them to the park and called them, they haven't done any real homework there, it's not gonna be amazing.
Got it.
Okay, but the heel, anything heel, sit, stay down, place, whatever, is great till the 5. It's the recall that's gonna take some level of extra effort on their part to get it to that degree. But the one command that anybody has to learn if they're gonna handle them that I suggest they learn would be the heel.
Got it.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Other questions?
Any particular tricks of like when we're walking him, do you like keep people and dogs away from him while he's in training? Or I've heard like that's a thing. Like you just tell people not to touch your dog as he's in training, or
It really depends on the dog.
Okay.
So in my book, you have a different dog, obviously.
Yeah.
I deal with a lot of behavioral cases.
Sure.
I deal with a lot of dogs that are leash reactive, dogs that are leash aggressive, and all that stuff. So we do a lot of like no, right?
Got it.
Because the dog isn't the type to do well with that.
Makes sense.
Okay. Now, if you have a social dog, if he's under control, if you step to the side, his job is to automatically sit.
Got it.
I don't care what's going by. I don't care if it's his best friend or his favorite person.
Yep.
He's supposed to maintain the position. Okay.
That would be great.
And then if you said break, which is our release word, break means now. You can go say hi. Okay?
Got it.
So it's really, it doesn't impact the training because of the level of control you have.
Makes sense.
So other methods of training, food only especially, has the lowest ceiling of control.
Sure.
Gentle leader or prong collar is a step up, but it's still difficult. It's a lot of physical, it's a lot of technical skill.
And he like fights through the physical a lot, as I've noticed. I think.
Sure, I can see where you kind of like.
Yeah, he definitely holds,
Yeah. Remote collar is a game changer.
Yeah.
Okay, so the more control you have, the more gray area you have. So other methods of training, like even dogs that are trained as service dogs, right? So the reason why they say don't touch and stuff is because once a distraction comes in, because they're not using remote collar or anything, very difficult to get the dog back on track. But with remote collar, if the dog veers off the person's wheelchair and we just remote them, boom, they're back in again.
Got it.
Okay, so it's, yes, you can still socialize. No, during training, you don't have to like withdraw him from people or whatever. He can greet them. He just has to greet them when he's given permission.
Got it.
Okay, and then if he got out of line without permission, you would correct him.
Got it.
So like growing up, I had to ask for permission to go out to my friend's house, right?
Yeah.
And if I didn't do that, I got a consequence.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Makes sense.
Okay. Other questions?
No, oh, I guess one last thing. In terms of the board and training program, like, is there more details on how that works? Is it like here? Is
Yes.
that where you're boarding?
Yeah. So
are
this
there
is my
other dogs?
facility.
Like,
13,000 square feet.
Yep.
We only take 4 boarding trains at a time.
Okay.
So that we don't get overrun with dogs and the quality dips.
Yep.
Everybody here works with the dog. So I have right now 4 handlers. I have a 5th handler coming this on Monday.
Okay.
So I used to help as well, but now that I'm so booked, I'm not really here that often.
Sure.
Enrique's the primary trainer. So like, let's say you called and you had a question about something and Enrique wasn't here. The handlers, like they could answer real general questions, but because they're not as training savvy as myself or Enrique would be, they would say, we're just gonna have Enrique call you, right?
Makes sense.
But they do train the dogs.
Yeah.
They're just not versed enough to explain it well.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
But they can absolutely do the training. So but Enrique, he's in charge of, he's in charge of all that stuff. Or if I'm available, I'll give you a call myself.
Right, makes sense.
There's someone on premise 24/7. So my brother lives here, and I'm here from time to time as well.
Okay.
Because Chicago code is if you don't, I'm only here for 3 years.
Yep.
So there's no fire water system.
Got it.
Okay, so if you don't have a fire water system installed,
you gotta
that goes
for something.
Exactly, you have to have somebody on premise 24/7.
Got it.
So that's my brother, and then I'm here from time to time.
Okay.
So in case something happens, we're here, or someone is here. His day starts at 7 a.m. and ends at 10 a.m. 10 p.m.
Okay.
10 a.m. 10 p.m. If we have a social dog,
Yeah.
he does more stuff.
Sure.
Okay. So, like for instance, we have a dog here who has leash reactivity and is a resource guarder. She's not a regular of ours, she's not a daycare dog. She goes to daycare elsewhere. She does great there.
Yeah.
So we prioritize and we go, we can try to spend time trying to socialize this dog in a new setting.
Yeah.
Or we just spend that time training your dog because we know that we're not going to see this dog in the future.
Right.
Right? So we just prioritize. If we get a dog like him and he's great in the pen, he plays and all that stuff, he would do his training time with the handler.
Yes.
He would do duration work, which is this here.
Okay.
So we send the dog to the placemat, and then he may not move for 2 to 3 hours, okay?
Oh, okay.
And there's gonna be dogs walking by, there's gonna be dogs training, there's gonna be dogs on the treadmill, there's gonna be dogs playing, there's gonna be puppies playing behind them. There's a ton of stuff going on,
Okay.
So there's distractions. Then he'll get time to play in the pen. He'll also get treadmill time. They do training walks where they go to Home Depot
Okay.
to expose them to the outside world.
Got it.
Apply the obedience, make sure it's being functional.
Got it.
Even outside. And decompression time in the kennel.
Okay.
So our kennels are all out, spaced out. So if you go to my Instagram, like you'll see some videos where like we're walking around. Well, thanks a
Sorry,
lot.
you drew a lot.
Yeah.
We're walking around, and you'll see someone training a dog.
Yeah.
You'll see dogs in the pen and everything,
Yeah.
and it's literally that setup.
Got it.
So the bulk of the space is where all the training and action is.
Right.
And then the boarding area is separate.
Okay.
And then at 10 o'clock, he's let out, he's potty and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He goes in the kennel, he rests, and then we repeat
Got it.
the next day.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other questions?
No.
I don't think so.
Well, the question is going to be, can we start a board and train for our trip that's coming up?
Yeah, we have. I know we have. So it's weird. It's waves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, we had like 4 board and trains and a bunch of daycare and trains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they wrapped up, and it was kind of quiet for a week or 2.
Yeah.
And then we got a couple of daycare and trains, and all of a sudden it's 8 daycare and trains and a board and train coming
Got
in.
it.
Yeah.
So I know there's space for a board and train for sure.
Okay.
And then what would happen is you wouldn't deal with Maria,
Okay.
because Maria's sole job is just my calendar.
Gotcha.
She would put you in contact with Kim.
Okay.
Kim is my kennel manager.
Got it.
She handles any boarding, daycare, board and train, and daycare and train scheduling,
Got it.
just to take off some weight from Maria. Okay.
Got it.
And then she would get you set up with like invoicing and all that stuff.
Okay.
And then you would just let her know what dates you're looking for.
Okay.
And if she's like, yep, they're open,
Okay.
she'll just lock you down.
Okay.
And then this way you don't have to worry about like, coming back and the spot being filled
Right.
up.
Sounds
Makes
good.
sense.
Yeah, because I think like after talking with you, like my personal preference would be to do like the in-person training with you in Oz Park, but given how difficult it is for me to walk him at this point, like, and his older parents watch the dog a lot, like if we're like out
Oh,
of town or
sure.
something,
Yeah.
it's just like his mom can't walk the dog, his dad can hardly
Yeah.
walk the dog, so like I'm more incentivized to like get him walking a little easier, get him trained a little easier, than do like more thorough follow-up.
Sure, I mean,
Yeah.
you can even like, like let's say you did a shorter 1 or 2 week program.
Yeah.
You still get your follow-up, right? And that just gets
Yeah.
you in the door.
Yeah.
And then if you decide you want to book in person with me,
Mhm.
then you would contact Maria,
Gotcha.
right? If you
Yeah.
used up all your follow-up with
Yeah.
the board
Yeah.
train,
Yeah.
because you would be working with Enrique.
Yeah.
Okay? So then if it's like, hey, like everything's going great, we just have a couple of things,
Mhm.
then you can, just reach out to Maria and then book it, but at least you have something to tide you over.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
So
what
I
I'm
think if
thinking
we did in person, I would probably want to do like a 9-week, because like my goal is to make sure he's good around like other people and to be able to like take him to a restaurant or take him to a friend's house without him being like the wild dog who like
Mhm.
is running all over the place and
Right.
stuff.
Sure.
But I also want to optimize for like speediness of basic.
Yeah, just like getting some
Exactly.
kind of
I want to be,
management on
yeah,
the dog.
like I want to be able to enjoy going on walks with him.
Exactly. And I feel like would you say like the 2-week program, if we follow up with diligent, like our follow-ups and maybe even do like a personal program, like it sounds like it's an accelerator potentially to at least get him rolling.
Yeah.
As long
I-
as we keep them on.
In my opinion, if you did a 2-week, you'd probably be just fine.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna get the 2 weeks, right? You get your videos and you get your follow-up.
Right.
And e-collar is like the epitome of dog training.
Yeah.
This is why I insist. So the reason why I just do remote collar,
Yeah.
because you'll read stuff where people just say like, oh, he's lazy, or like, oh, he's like shocking dogs.
Just more effective.
It's the most effective.
Yeah.
So if you go to the doctor and he's like, hey, this is 90% success, this is 70%,
Yeah.
and this is 30%, I'm like, give me the 90.
Right, yeah.
I'm not gonna say, let me try the 30 because I don't like the way the 70 and the 90 feel.
Yeah.
feel. No, I do remote collar because it's the most consistent. I know that if the owner does their homework, where I can get.
Yeah.
Okay. Every other tool kind of requires you to become a dog trainer.
Yeah.
But then it's not even that great anyways.
Right.
Okay. And I've been doing this for over 10 years now.
Yeah.
So I've already done all the positive reinforcement stuff. I've done the prong. I've done all that stuff, and they're great tools. And we here as trainers do everything. But you guys are just like, we want control over a dog as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible, but as also as humane as possible. Right. E-collar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
And then have you guys seen any of my training videos and stuff?
I've seen a couple.
I have not.
Because I poked around after. I think I saw, is one of your trainers named Maddie?
Yes.
Okay. I saw she posted something in like our Wicker Park group about like her dog being off leash and like people were being assholes to her on Facebook, and she was being super chill. And I was like, and she was like, I'm a trainer, and I looked her up and she worked here, and I was like, oh, she seems awesome.
Yeah.
So then I looked at all your videos and stuff. It looked really cool.
Yeah. So if you want to get a feel for what it looks like, you can go to my website, canineperspective.com. Click on any YouTube video, it'll take you to my channel.
Gotcha.
And you're going to see, I think we're probably over 1,000 videos now.
Nice.
Because of COVID and the verbal instruction, it's so much information that people would I know they're going to forget.
Yeah.
So they just go back to the video.
Makes sense.
Or if I work with couples and one person can't make it, they can just watch the video and pick up on what they missed out on.
Makes sense.
You know, so it's a great resource. It also just shows people like, hey, our methods work.
Yeah.
You know, I'm super transparent. I don't bullshit people. I don't like them or whatever. I tell them what we can get done, what's realistic and what's not realistic. And I actually just did a consult. The lady had a Shiba Inu. Dog was super chill. The only problem he had is he didn't like dogs sniffing his butt.
You hate it.
I mean, none of us do. So.
Yeah.
And she wanted me to fix that. And I was like, obedience-wise, what do you need your dog to do? Nothing. He's a great dog. He's super chill. He doesn't pull. He doesn't really run away or anything like that, right? And I said, okay. I'm like, and your problem is only when you go to the dog park and dogs try to approach him. And she goes, yeah. And I'm like, so he doesn't try to attack dogs proactively? And she goes, no. I go, it sounds like your dog doesn't like the dog park. And you're not a good dog, and you don't need me.
Yeah.
Right? And then she was like, yeah, that's what I thought, but I just needed somebody to tell me. But I could have bullshitted her and said, like, absolutely, bring them in, give me your money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, no, I got people that, like, really need my help.
Yeah.
You know? So, but yeah, Maddie's one of my trainers. She is my puppy trainer and stuff.
Nice.
She's part-time. So she's not here anymore. She's got a full-time job.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Nope. I'm good.
Yeah. This was incredibly informative.
Yeah, no worries. And if you want to learn more, the videos are on my channel.
Yeah.
You can even look up like a board and train, and you'll see like Enrique, he's got like longer hair.
Okay.
And I have like playlists that'll say like board and train, daycare and train.
Gotcha.
You know, heel command with e-collar.
Cool.
Lesson ones are always nice to watch for an in-person because no one knows what they're doing. You know, but us.
Yeah.
The explanatory sessions, just take into account that every dog is different.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right? So if we get a dog and maybe you pick the wrong one and it's like really like not pretty, it's because we're probably dealing with development behavior.
Got it.
Okay?
Yeah.
Most cases are pretty straightforward, and of course we explain it as we go along.
Makes sense.
Since you said your parents
Yes.
watch him, right? I would be more inclined to do prong with remote for them.
Got it.
Okay.
And they also have a dog as well, and so that controlling the two dogs gets difficult for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At least we can remove one off the like the menu of like difficulty.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it just takes one good pull.
Yeah.
You know, I had someone, his dog broke his shoulder, it's to the ER 3 times in 2 years.
3 times.
Yes, and it was a friendly dog.
Yeah.
90 pounds, pulling power, and he just took him out a couple of times.
Yeah.
They were
He's
actually,
almost done that too.
Yeah, I've like definitely felt some.
yeah,
Shoulder
no,
strain.
he's social, but he's big and powerful.
Right.
People don't think that like stuff like that happens. I've had people break their fingers, break their wrists, break their elbows, break their shoulders. I had a client, they were an older couple, bulldog boxer mix. I show up and the dog had already broken the husband, they're like in their 70s.
Yeah.
The husband's hip, right?
Okay.
Oh my god.
We do the training and everything, dog was doing great. And then one day at the park, the dog was zooming and came and swung and ran into the wife.
Oh no.
Then I came back and she had a broken hip.
No.
No.
Yeah, and I was like, but it was just like he was zooming and she didn't get out the way.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, like shit like that happens. But otherwise, we really shouldn't have any issues.
Yeah.
Other questions?
Nope.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you seem to think he's very trainable. He's like chill dog more or
I
less.
have not had a dog I've not been able to train.
Yeah, fair enough.
people are different.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to the remote that he would need the big boy collar.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's meant for 70 pounds and over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's clearly.
Yeah.
He's like 90 and growing 10 months a
Yep.
month, or 10 pounds a month.
Yeah. They run around, I believe, about 327-ish for cats.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
They last a very long time.
Okay.
I've had my e-collars 8 to 9 years.
Okay.
So they're an investment, but
Yeah.
it's
Right.
professional quality. They're fully waterproof, both the transmitter and the receiver.
Nice.
So he can go swimming in it. You can be in a pool with the remote around your head, and you're perfectly fine.
Got it.
It's a 1 mile range, so plenty of range for the
Oh,
average
wow.
family pet.
Mhm.
Obviously, in the city of Chicago with all the buildings and stuff, you're not going to get a full mile, but your
Yeah.
dog is not going to be a mile away from you. So
If
you're
he
fine.
is,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a whole other.
Yeah. And we sell those here. You can also get them on Amazon.
Okay.
If you get them online, I just recommend that you read the manual, and you also, after you've read it, fiddle with it. So, because it's electric, you may come across a lemon.
Mhm.
You can tell because there's 127 levels, and it goes in increments of 1,
Yeah.
3 to 5, 6, all the way to 127.
Mhm.
So if you are fiddling with it and it goes 1 to 30 like that,
Yeah.
you got a lemon.
Got it.
Okay. Call them up. Hey, we need to exchange this. This one's
Yeah.
not a good collar.
Got it.
You send it back, and then you get your new one, so that when he comes in, you can just jump right into it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's about it.
Okay.
You got all the questions down.
Cool.
The most common. Oh, one of the most common ones I get is, when does the e-collar go away? Okay.
Got it.
When you need it, it doesn't. So if he's going to be outside, because there's a lot of external stimuli,
Yeah.
you have the collar on.
Yeah.
But it's not because of the training. It's not because of our methods. It's not because we suck.
Mhm.
It's simply, that's how it is. So like for humans, you guys drive?
Yes.
Yes.
You go to the expressway?
Yes.
You go to the speed limit?
No.
No.
A lot of people don't.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
You see a squad car, what happens?
Slow down.
Slow down.
You pass a squad car, what happens?
Speak up.
Because there's no more 30 consequence, right?
Yeah.
Think of the e-collar as the same thing.
Got it.
Okay? The e-collar is a cop and a collar. So when it's present, he's gonna have to go to the speed limit. He's gonna have to listen and stuff, because
Yeah.
he knows there's sort of consequence,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's just the way of the world. It's called opportunistic behavior,
Mhm.
where if you can get away with something, you might try it.
Sure.
So it's funny with trainers, because it's kind of like back and forth, where positive only trainers will say like, your dog won't listen without the collar.
Right.
And then trainers say like, well, your dog won't listen without the food.
Right.
And I go, regardless of what method you use, when you remove the motivator, performance always dips.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Right? So like for humans, would you work for free?
Sure.
Right? No, yeah. If you stop getting a paycheck, you're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
But then at the same time with the laws, if there weren't any consequence for breaking the law,
Right.
why should we listen to them?
Right.
Right? So it's the same thing for dogs. If he's not getting paid, or if there's not a consequence, then like, why should he do it?
Right.
The only difference is with food, if he's off leash playing with his dog friends and I go, hey buddy, get over here and I shake the chicken, and he's like, nah, I'm good, there's no consequence for that.
Right.
You know, like him not getting the chicken is not a consequence to him.
Right.
Like it would be for me growing up. My mom would be like, hey, if you don't do your chores, you're not seeing your friends for a month.
Right.
I'm like, oh, that sucks. I'm gonna do my chores then. Dogs aren't like that. So when you need it, guests coming over, you're going out, he's gonna be off leash. If he's at your parents' house, whatever, you have it on.
Got it.
But if he's a great dog otherwise, you don't need it.
Makes sense.
Okay. Anything else?
Not unless there's
No.
a big question we're missing. that we haven't-
No, that's like the most common one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is like, what is e-collar, and then
Yeah.
when does it go away?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Big stubborn boy.
Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's
Okay.
pretty straightforward. Your case
Cool.
is just obedience stuff.
Yeah.
He's at a good age to start. Oh, at 6 months is the earliest we start pressing the remote collar,
Okay.
because then we can start pressing him at an adult level.
Got it.
So then it's just a matter of, so if you decide like, yeah, board and train, you can just turn around and email Maria and say,
Yep.
hey Maria, we're good. We want to do a board and train.
Yep.
And then she'll just introduce you to Kim.
Got it.
Okay. And then Kim will handle things. Okay.
Okay.
Now Kim is here my mistake, what's today? Saturday? Tuesday through Saturday.
Got it.
Okay. So if I'm available, I'll start the process. Otherwise, Kim will get in touch with you.
Okay.
Since she's in on Tuesday.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
I think we have to talk about it obviously,
Yeah.
but I think our inclination is probably a board and train.
Yeah.
Sure.
With some
Especially
in-person
with-
follow-up so we can learn.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Be good stewards of his obedience.
Yes.
Yeah, and 2 weeks is a solid amount of time.
Yeah.
I think if you did 2 weeks, you probably wouldn't even need in-person follow-ups.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna invest, you might as well just invest in that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Alrighty. And also, parents or whatever, they're welcome to do follow-ups as well.
Okay.
You know, you pay for our time.
Sure.
We just show up. So if you're
Yeah.
like, hey, you know, these are our parents and they want to learn a little bit of what he knows.
Yep.
And instead of you teaching them, and you want to repeat it, teach them, that's not a problem.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. Oh, you guys. He's a big boy.
There you go.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really
No worries.
appreciate it.
Hey folks, you might be here a lot soon.
Yeah.